All right, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for coming to visit with us this afternoon. We wanted to be able to provide our community with an update with regards to how the RCSD is responding to what is truly uncharted territory for our nation. First, I want to thank everyone who has really been stepping up here within the RCSD, our food service workers, our custodians, our social safety and security officers, our teachers, principals, countless others here in RCSD who are really stepping up to make sure our students get what they need in what truly is unprecedented times here in the RCSD and in our nation. So at the beginning part of the week, we really focused in on making sure our community knew how we were going to make sure that our students were fed while we were under this extended closure. So you've already heard about the 7 school sites and the 9 rec center sites that are providing breakfast, lunch, and dinner from 8 o'clock till 2:30 for our school sites, and from 8 o'clock a.m. till 8 o'clock p.m. at the recreation center sites. Now we're able to actually switch gears and really put our focus on providing academic engagement and learning resources for our students during this extended closure. So we've really focused in on how to provide online resources by way of a variety of tools that our students are already used to, Google Classroom, Class Dojo, and a myriad of others to remain in good contact with our students and keep them engaged. We also have a variety of opportunities that we're going to be talking about a little bit later in further detail of actual paper and pencil packets that we'll start to distribute to our food distribution sites, hopefully by the end of this week, but at the very latest by Monday of next week. So this has really been a collaborative effort. I can't thank everyone in this great city enough, and in the county of Monroe enough, for what we've done on behalf of our students. So wanted to provide a little bit further detail. Deputy Quick is going to provide further details by way of what that engagement looks like for providing our students ongoing learning resources online. I need the community to make sure that we're staying focused on the fact that we have one-to-one devices for our 9th through 12th grade students. We do not have one-to-one for our kindergarten through 8th grade students. So it really has to be a compilation of paper, pencil, and online as we navigate these waters moving forward. So I'm going to turn it over to Deputy Quick.
Thank you, Superintendent Dade, and thank you again for being here. I'm actually very proud of a group of staff in this particular district that worked so hard in the last few days to deploy resources, who came together as a team to make as many resources as humanly possible available to our students in a variety of ways. So I want to cover the variety of ways that we are pushing educational resources out to our students, and then we're going to have Glenn Vandewalker, our Chief of Technology, come up and show you some of the specific examples of where students and parents can access those resources. So we have really 5 ways that we're pushing out access. First and foremost, classroom teachers will be maintaining contact with their students throughout this period of absence. They'll be doing it through a variety of means. It could be through email, it could be through Google Classroom, Class Dojo, and it could be by phone call. But they're going to be maintaining contact with our students throughout this period to make sure that they have resources, that they get their questions answered, and they have supports where they need it. Second of all of our students do have online access accounts. And if they're able to access them from home, they can log in to age-appropriate materials specifically for them. And Mr. Vandewalker is going to walk through some of those in a few minutes to show you what is available as an example. And those would be things like BrainPop, Castle Learning, and other access points where kids can actually access online materials, lesson plans, and other materials their teachers have actually downloaded for them onto that site. The third point of access for parents and students is through something you see here called RCSD Learns, and Mr. Vandewalker is going to walk you through that as well. As you will see, these are general resources that every parent and every student can access. They are age appropriate by grade level, so if you're a first grade student or parent of a first grade student, you go into this site, you can actually find materials for your child to engage in at home. They could be supplemental to what the child's teacher is providing. It could be on their own, they just want to access them, but they will be available for everyone in the district to see. And as Mr. Dade indicated earlier, Dr. Dade, excuse me, we are actually doing one additional thing, which is hard copies of these same materials. So as we said, we are providing food at 16 different locations. Starting on Friday, you will actually be able to access packets of materials. The same copies of things that you'll be finding online will be available for pickup on site, along with pencils and other materials students will need to actually do these activities at home. Lastly, 9 through 12 students should continue to access through their Chromebooks all of their online materials. They should connect with their classroom teachers and their fellow classmates through those online portals and continue instruction as they have through any of their 9-12 programming at home. That's a current practice. It should continue as it has in the past. I also want to stress that we are translating materials that we're sending home in packets and that we're making available on the site into Spanish for our Spanish-speaking students so that they will be able to access all the same materials. So I do want to have Mr. Vanderwater come up and just talk through some of the materials that we have and show you some examples of what kids will actually be able to access.
Good afternoon, everybody. Before I start, I'd like to recognize all of the teachers and technology staff that put in countless hours over the past few days to get these materials up and going so that our entire RCSD family has access to it. If we take a look at the Families and Students tab, and again, this RCSD Learns is going to be a banner on our district website, so it'll be easy to find at rcsdk12.org. And if you take a look here, there's resources here for students and families. And if we scroll down a little bit, we can take a look at some weekly activities that students and families have access to. They do take a second to load. Once loaded, you will see that here there is a link to be shared. So if teachers are coming here, they can move those exact lessons into their Google Classroom and work with students that way. These resources go pre-K through 8th grade, and if we scroll down a little bit further, you'll see that they're also available in Spanish. If we back out of this area and move to our staff tab, our staff have access, for example, how to connect virtually. So all of our staff in the RCSD now have Zoom licenses, so if they would like to meet with one another or video conference with students, if that's available, they have the ability to do that, and here are the directions they would use to do that if they're not familiar. Additional resources that we have for our students would be the instructional software that they're familiar with and use every day in classrooms. And if they go to ROC Connect, you can see here, for example, all of the software students are already familiar with from using in their classroom, from Lexia or their Google Drive, Gmail for communicating back and forth with their teachers, is all right here and just a click away.
I do want to just remind parents, if your child has forgot their login information, they can call our hotline at any point in time and get that information. There are numerous people manning that hotline on a daily basis, so if they forget, please call. We'll make sure that we provide it so they can access that login from home if they have forgotten.
So we can open it up at this time for any questions that you might have. Yes?
Will there be any way that you all will be able to keep track of grades? Is that anything that's possible for this time?
Great question. So when it comes to grading and mandating what is going on right now in the RCSD and across the nation, that is not possible. There is no guarantee. We've literally taken schooling and turned it into virtual overnight. And we haven't had the capacity to do that in our great nation. So right now we're about continuing as much of our programming and learning resources at this time for our students, providing as much access as possible. But there is no guarantee with regards to, there's no expectation for our students to be turning in assignments for grades. There's not going to be any expectation with regards to attendance and the like, even if it's virtual. We're really moving forward with providing access at as great a means as possible for all of our students, either paper and pencil, like Deputy Quick explained, or, as Mr. Vanderwater explained, virtually.
So what happens if we continue this until June when school is over? Is this year a wash?
We're engaging in those conversations with the New York State Education Department. They're my bosses to answer those great questions. Right now, all we know is that we're closed until April 1st, and that's what we're planning and preparing for. That said, we're peeking into what does that look like if this were to extend through spring break, if this were to extend through 2 months and through the rest of the year. So right now, we've posed all those questions with regards to grades, credit accumulation, assessments, Regents exams. All of those have gone up the chain, and right now we're waiting for further direction from State Ed.
So is this almost like summer vacation for students? You had that summer slide we talk about every year. Is this almost like that? You're providing material, you also provide material over summer to enrichment. How do you know if any students are going to use this? You're going to do great effort, and the next question is great expense. I'm sure the budget cycle to do this. How do you know that this will pay off?
So we don't know exactly to what extent all of our efforts will pay off. This is uncharted territory. What I am heartened to see is if you take a look at Twitter or Facebook or any other social media mechanism, our teachers are amazing. They've come up with answers before we could even think of them. So they're already checking in with their students. They're reporting back to me how many students actually engage with them a particular day. So teachers are actually doing what they do and seeing which students are not engaging at this time and which are, and looking for a different variety of ways to get in touch with them. Like Ms. Quick said, it's not just by computer. Sometimes we'll have to pick up the phone and make sure that our students are getting what they need. There may need to be home visits and the like, so we're looking at all those options. But we are not treating this as a summer vacation. Our teachers are not treating this like a summer vacation, but valid concern raised by our colleague in the room of our great concern is the slide. We want to mitigate that as much as possible by providing as rich and engaging resources as we can over this potentially short or maybe a long closure.
What do you say to parents, who are at home with these students? They don't have the resources, the internet connection, the computer, to be connected to these type of resources. What would you say to them?
So something that we actually did find out is that our students are more virtually connected than we ever were as kids. So there is some sort of device that is accessible within neighborhoods and the like, so that we're really trying to make sure that Mr. Vanderwater and his team have looked at functionality on an iPhone and iPads and the like. So a lot of conversation in the nation about Chromebooks and the like, but please know our students are connected to phones as well. So looking for that functionality to make sure that you can actually read a text on a phone. When I do my superintendent read aloud, hopefully they'll be looking and watching that on their devices, whatever they see fit. But again, valid question, because not every home has Wi-Fi. So it's not just about devices, it's also about internet connectivity. And that's something that we're really working with our partners to make sure that we can increase that, anticipating what this could look like in the coming weeks and months.
You talked about the teachers not treating this like a spring break, and the parents not treating this like a spring break, and you're not treating it like a spring break. How do you make sure the students don't treat this like a spring break or a summer vacation?
And that's where our teachers and our staff, our psychologists, our counselors, social workers, principals, assistant principals, they know how to best get in touch with our students. We have really been messaging that making sure that we know and we love and care for them. And this is not a summer vacation. We need to keep reading. We need to keep up with our and figure out creative ways to have fun as well. There's a lot of research around play-based learning and the like. So again, no guarantees, but we're doing what we can by way of our Rockstar teachers and other leaders to engage with our students each and every day to get across the message that this is not a summer vacation.
Thanks, that's a great question, and we've talked a lot about our teachers and our staff, but our parents have started to reach out to us as well. So we talk about engaged kids. We also have engaged parents who are really interested in how do we access resources. And so we've in the last 3 days, and we would encourage parents, if you have any questions or if you have any issues with accessing materials, please call us. We will find out a way to get it to them and help them.
Any concern about going from an environment, school, where everything, this might be your question actually, going from an environment like school where everything revolves around learning to being at home where it frequently doesn't?
It is a challenge for everybody, going from a pretty structured environment to one that's unstructured, and we're all figuring it out together. And I'm confident that parents will work with their kids to create that structure for learning and opportunities to explore our educational resources. Again, we want kids engaged so that when they come back, they're ready to go again, whenever that might be.
The foods that are coming to the food, it's grabbing those, so there's no way to keep them there for learning, right? That was a little counterproductive to some of the distancing and things like that. It seems like that's unfortunate, because here you can have that opportunity to do a quick little lesson before.
Right. And right now we're following, and we'll continue to follow the direction of Dr. Mendoza and his team. I can say there's a lot of conversations going on around the country of what would it look like if we truly do flatten the curve and start to enter into an environment where small groups of students are able to access buildings. So our teams are already starting to think through that, potentially at the food sites, at a variety of schools and centers across the city to see what that might look like. Because like you said, that's a captive group right there, already ready to go. We would love to keep them right there, but we're following Dr. Mendoza's guidelines at this point.
Today, Governor came out and talked about plans for food distribution, which you guys are way ahead of everybody on. Also talked about childcare for kids. This might you might not even heard of. It just came out. Kids with first responders kids, as far as giving them daycare. Is there any talk about that so far? And what's happening with that?
So we're really trying to tackle this as a county because we know that we want to make sure that all of our critical responders across the county are getting what they need to do what they do best, and that's to look out for the health and safety of all of us here. So we've reached out to a variety of community-based organizations to see what is the capacity that they have right now. You'll see in the coming days from probably all superintendents in Monroe County on our websites an indication of where those seats are available, and with a prioritization to say, calling all first responders, we're here for you. Here are the seats that are available. If you need childcare, here's where they're available, and let's support one another. So that's what we're doing right now, and we'll submit that plan by tomorrow.
But besides the Chromebooks, which the high school kids already have, do you have any sense of how many devices are out there, how many families have something they can access, some way of getting online to do this?
As Dr. Dade mentioned earlier, I think the number is surprising. I couldn't give you an exact percentage, but all of our resources that I showed up here are available via a tablet, laptop, or even using an Android or iOS device, iPhone.
But any telling as to how these kids, some of them obviously may or may not have that kind of resource, a laptop or anything else?
I don't have an exact percentage for you. I think during this time we're going to really find out where our need is.
Any plans to distribute any more?
Not at this time, no. We're going to wait to see how long this moves, because if we're going to move into a distribution model, something of that scale would take a tremendous amount of effort and a lot of people to gather in one area. And so, again, that comes with some challenges right there.
You have the devices to do it if you're going to do it.
We do have the devices, but again, we don't have the mechanism in place in this short of time to do that. And again, the manpower that would take would require a lot of people congregating in one area.
I'm sorry? So one of the things that our board is moving towards is making that call as President White moved to completely virtual last night for the first time. I believe this was a voluntary engagement, and we're moving towards how do we get information out to the public in a safer manner as possible. So we're practicing as much as we can. We're still within guidelines with regards to limiting the numbers of folks in one location at this time. So we're leaving it to every single individual in our community to make that choice and make sure that they're practicing what they're supposed to be doing, while also adhering to what Dr. Mendoza said, that in this great time of crisis, it's our obligation to get the most current information out to our citizens as soon as possible. So as soon as we move towards a focus on learning resources, we felt that it was absolutely critical to bring the media in as a great outlet for our city of Rochester.
With no grading, you've still got high school or standardized testing coming up somewhere over the horizon. Mm-hmm. How will you know that this is actually working for the kids who still need to learn?
We won't. I've been crystal clear. If you can find a leader in the nation who thinks they figured it out, please give them my email because I want to speak with them, because this is truly uncharted territory. The question asked of Mr. Vanderwater, even if you have a device for every single child, there is not a leader in this nation who can say that they are guaranteeing that this is progressing their children in the same manner as if they were in school each and every day. So this is truly uncharted territory. We are going to look at the data to see students who had devices and how many times were they able to engage with their teacher to really rethink how we're looking at digital learning. This entire nation is going to rethink digital learning for sure once we tackle COVID-19. And this is just one of those instances where we're truly putting our technology efforts to the test and then our great staff to the test to try to progress as much as possible given the circumstances. Just a reminder, we didn't get news of what the closure was until this past weekend. We're sitting at Wednesday afternoon with a crystal clear food distribution plan for one of the largest districts in all of New York State, a learning resource plan that has been rolled out in a methodical manner with Mr. Vanderwater and his team and the support of our teaching staff. So we're feeling really good about making sure that we're doing everything possible for our students. And I can guarantee you in the next 48 hours, we're going to be thinking differently about what I just shared with you today. This is truly a fluid crisis that we're dealing with, and we're responding accordingly on behalf of our students.
As a parent, I think one of the frustrating parts for me is, am I doing it right? So we're teaching conform, we're teaching whatever, but that's not the way I learned it, so now I'm trying to teach my kids weather this morning before I came, right? Is it important just to have them doing something? I mean, I'm afraid of teaching them wrong versus what they'd be learning in school. So what would you say to those parents? Like, I don't know what I'm doing.
I love that question, and it's probably the one that I hear the most is, am I doing it wrong? And there's, as a parent, parent to parent, there's no such thing. If you're engaging your child in a love of reading, exploration of math, looking at the weather and studying the weather, all of those things are going to help our kids rather than sitting in front of television and doing nothing. So get outside and run around, not with too many other kids, but enjoy some of this great weather. But also parents, we're here to help. So if you have questions, call that hotline number that we provided you. We have teachers who are ready to help parents with, I'm not quite sure how to explain this to my child. They'll be ready to rock and roll at the drop of a call. Thank you. They're all reporting virtually at this time. We have 7 food distribution sites. Our custodial team is working hard to disinfect every single building in the district. That's going to take time, but outside of that, that's pretty much our skeleton crew at this time.
Sir, you have to do this, but what is the effect on the budget situation?
Yeah, this question came up last night during our board meeting. We have no idea what the impact on the budget is at this time. It's going to depend on how long we're in this, dealing with this crisis. What are the mandates that are coming down from the governor, and looking into the summer. None of us can anticipate what summer is going to look like either, so it's to be determined, but we're going to be able to provide updates as they come.
With the state having so much time right now, you're still expecting March 31st, April 1st to hear about the aid that you requested?
I can't speak for the governor, but I haven't been given any indication otherwise, so we still plan to hear an on-time budget.
One of the things I'm wondering about remote learning is how different lessons look for a pre-K student, a kindergarten student, between like a 7th grade, 8th grade student. How do you capture the attention of a younger student rather than an older student online?
Yeah, so once you, hopefully you'll get a chance to peruse the materials, and it really is an exceptional job of that. We know that a 4-year-old or a 5-year-old has an attention span that doesn't exceed 15 minutes in duration. So you'll see activities really tailored towards that type of thinking in child development theory and research. And then for our 7th and 8th graders, much more by way of longer term projects and more in-depth learning. So again, nothing is going to replace a teacher online, but we're doing everything possible to tailor those lesson ideas in an age-appropriate manner. All right? Thank you.
Guys.